Welcome back to our channel, English with Ethan. Today, I want to share with you a powerful story that will show you why you must talk in English. Not just read it, not just write it, but actually use your voice every day. It's the story of a young man named Daniel, a quiet and humble coffee shop worker who discovered that keeping English inside his head was the biggest mistake of his life, and how one small decision changed everything. A quiet boy in a busy city. Daniel was 23. He worked in a small coffee shop on a busy street corner. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air every morning. Customers came in and out, locals, tourists, and sometimes business people from other countries. Daniel loved his job. He knew every drink by heart. He could make a cappuccino with his eyes closed. But when it came to speaking English with customers, his confidence melted away. He understood some English, words like latte, sugar, milk, thank you. But whenever a customer spoke in full sentences, his mind froze. He would just point at the menu, smile politely, and hope the customer figured things out on their own. The same excuse, over and over. Every time this happened, Daniel promised himself, "I'll speak next time, when my English is better, when I'm ready." But the truth? Next time never came. Weeks passed, months passed. Daniel kept waiting for the perfect moment, but the perfect moment never arrived. The opportunity he let slip away. One afternoon, a friendly man walked in. He was tall, wearing a blue suit, and spoke with a warm, clear British accent. "Hello, I'm new in town. Could you recommend your best coffee?" Daniel felt his hands go cold. He knew exactly what to say in his own language. But in English? His brain went blank. He just smiled awkwardly, pointed to the menu, and said softly, Here." The man smiled politely, ordered a coffee, and left. Later, Daniel's coworker whispered, "Do you know who that was? He's opening a new cafe in the city. He's looking for staff, good salary. Maybe you could have worked there." Daniel's heart sank. He realized he had just missed a chance. Not because he wasn't smart, not because he wasn't capable, but because he wasn't talking. The long night of regret. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the scene in his head. He remembered every moment when he stayed silent. The tourist who asked for directions, and he pointed instead of speaking. The customer who complimented his coffee, and he only nodded. The businesswoman who wanted to know the fastest way to the train station, and he waved his hands instead of using words. He realized something painful. Every time I stay silent, I lose something. A connection, a chance, a piece of my confidence. The turning point. The next morning, Daniel woke up earlier than usual. He stood in front of the mirror in his small bathroom. He looked at his reflection, messy hair, tired eyes, and spoke out loud in English for the first time in weeks. "From today, I will talk, even if I make mistakes, even if I sound silly, even if my voice shakes." He repeated it 3 times, louder each time. He didn't care if his grammar wasn't perfect. He didn't care if people judged him. All he cared about was starting. The new rule. Daniel made himself a promise. No more waiting for the right moment. No more only listening. From now on, I speak. Even if I don't know the perfect word, I'll use the words I have. Because he finally understood. You can study English for years, but if you never open your mouth, you'll never truly learn it. Part 2. The first real test. When silence was not an option. Daniel's promise to himself was still fresh in his mind. That morning, he had looked at the mirror and told himself he would talk, no matter how nervous he felt. But promises are easy when no one is watching. The real test comes when life puts you on the spot. That test came sooner than he expected. A quiet morning turns busy. It was a calm morning at the coffee shop. The smell of roasted beans floated in the air. Soft music played in the background. Daniel was wiping the counter, lost in thought. Then the door swung open, and a group of 4 foreign tourists stepped in. They were smiling, chatting loudly in English, and looking at the menu with curious eyes. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. His hands froze. He felt the familiar wave of panic rising, the same feeling that had stopped him so many times before. The voice in his head. The old Daniel would have quietly stepped aside, letting someone else take the order. And for a moment, that old habit tried to control him. The voice in his head whispered, "You're not ready. You'll make mistakes. Just stay quiet." But then, another voice, the new voice, reminded him of his promise. "From today, I will talk, even if my voice shakes." Daniel took a deep breath. The first words. He walked up to the group with a small smile. "Good morning. Welcome to our coffee shop. How can I help you today?" The words felt heavy leaving his mouth, but they were out. And that was what mattered. One of the tourists smiled back and replied quickly, "Hi, we're looking for something special. Maybe a local favorite. What do you recommend?" Daniel's brain worked fast. He didn't know how to say unique blend or locally sourced beans perfectly, but he decided to use what he knew. He pointed at the menu and said, "This coffee, very popular here. Strong taste. Many people like it in the morning." The reaction that surprised him. The tourists nodded and smiled. "Sounds great. We'll take 4. Daniel felt a small spark of victory inside him. He had just completed a full English exchange, not perfectly, but successfully. As he made their drinks, he listened to them talk, picking up new words and phrases. When he handed the cups over, he said, "Enjoy your coffee, and welcome to our city." One of them replied, "Thank you, your English is good." Daniel almost laughed. Good? He had always thought his English was terrible, but here were native speakers telling him otherwise. The first lesson, learned. That evening, as he walked home, Daniel kept replaying the moment in his head. He realized something powerful. Speaking English is not about being perfect. It's about being brave enough to try. If he had stayed silent again, he would have missed this small victory. And small victories build big confidence. Why you must talk in English. Reason number 1. Confidence comes from speaking. Daniel understood now. Confidence is not built from reading grammar books. It's built from real conversations, even short ones. When you speak, you train your mouth, your mind, and your courage at the same time. And every time you survive a conversation, you feel stronger for the next one. Part 3. The interview that could change his life. It had been only 2 weeks since Daniel made his promise to himself. He had been speaking more, greeting customers, answering small questions, even chatting briefly with tourists. His confidence was slowly growing, but deep inside, he still doubted himself. That's when life threw him the biggest test yet. The unexpected email. One afternoon, during his lunch break, Daniel checked his phone. There it was, an email from Harbor View Hotel, one of the most popular hotels in the city. Subject, interview invitation. front desk assistant body. We are impressed with your customer service skills and would like to invite you for an interview. Please note, strong English communication is required. Daniel's heart raced. He had never worked at a hotel before, but this was his chance to move up, to earn more, and to work in a place filled with international guests. And then, the fear hit him. Strong English communication is required. The words echoed in his mind like a warning bell. The night before the interview. That night, Daniel couldn't focus on anything else. He sat on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The old Daniel would have found an excuse not to go. He would have told himself, "You're not ready yet. Maybe next year." But he remembered his promise in the mirror. Even if my voice shakes, I will talk. So instead of running away, Daniel prepared. His simple preparation plan. He didn't try to memorize perfect sentences. Instead, he focused on 1. Greeting confidently. Good morning, it's nice to meet you. 2. Talking about himself, his name, his coffee shop experience, his love for meeting new people. 3. Answering common questions. Why he wanted the job, how he would help guests. 4. Smiling. Because a warm smile speaks louder than perfect grammar. He practiced in front of the mirror for an hour. He whispered to himself before sleeping, "Tomorrow I will talk, even if I make mistakes." The day of the interview. The morning sun was bright, but Daniel's stomach felt heavy. He wore his cleanest shirt, polished shoes, and carried a small notebook. When he arrived at the hotel, he was amazed. Tall glass windows, soft piano music in the lobby, people from different countries chatting in English. The receptionist greeted him, and soon he was led into a small meeting room. The first question. 2 interviewers sat across the table. One smiled warmly and said, "Good morning, Daniel. Can you tell us a little about yourself?" Daniel took a deep breath. This was it, his moment. "Good morning. My name is Daniel. I have worked in a coffee shop for 3 years. I like meeting people from different countries. I am learning English every day because I want to talk with guests and make them feel welcome." It wasn't perfect grammar, but it was real. The interviewers nodded. The second question. The real test. One interviewer leaned forward. If a guest asks for directions to the train station but speaks only English, how would you help? Daniel's old self would have frozen, but now he remembered reason number 1. Confidence comes from speaking. So he smiled and replied, "I would listen carefully, speak slowly, and use simple words. I would say, go straight for 5 minutes, turn right, and you will see the station." If they don't understand, I can write it down or show a map. The interviewer smiled. Good answer. The moment that changed everything. By the end of the interview, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pride. Not because he was perfect, but because he had spoken without hiding. Why you must talk in English. Reason number 2. Opportunities don't wait for you to feel ready. Daniel learned that day that opportunities appear without warning. You will never feel 100% ready. If you keep waiting for perfect English, you will keep missing chances. Speaking, even with mistakes, is what allows you to grab those opportunities when they arrive. Part 4. The difficult guest. Speaking under pressure. It had been just 1 week since Daniel got the job at Harborview Hotel. For him, every day still felt like a dream. He wore a crisp uniform, stood behind the elegant marble front desk, and greeted guests from all over the world. Every good morning and how can I help you was another step in his journey to becoming a confident English speaker. But nothing could have prepared him for what happened on that Tuesday morning. A calm start. The morning began quietly. Daniel checked reservations, handed out room keys, and answered small questions about breakfast times and Wi-Fi passwords. He was starting to feel comfortable, maybe even a little too comfortable. The arrival of the guest. At 9:15 a.m., the glass doors of the lobby opened. A tall man in his 40s walked in quickly, his suitcase rolling behind him. His face looked tense. His eyes scanned the front desk immediately. Daniel smiled and began his usual greeting. "Good morning, sir. Welcome to Harborview Hotel. How can I?" But before he could finish, the man interrupted, speaking fast English with a strong accent. "Listen, I booked a room online 2 weeks ago, but when I got here, they told me it's not ready. I've been traveling for 12 hours. I'm tired, and I don't understand why my room isn't available." The panic. The words came at Daniel like a wave. They were fast. They were emotional. And he understood only about 70% of what the man said. The old Daniel would have frozen. The old Daniel would have run to find a coworker. But Daniel remembered his promise and the lessons he had already learned. Even if I make mistakes, I will talk. His strategy in the moment. Daniel took a deep breath and used 3 simple rules he had been practicing. 1. Stay calm and listen for key words. Booked, 2 weeks, room not ready, 12 hours, tired. 2. Repeat to confirm understanding. This makes the guest feel heard and gives you time to think. 3. Use simple, clear English. Avoid long, complicated sentences. His response. Daniel looked at the guest and said slowly, "I understand, sir. You booked 2 weeks ago and your room is not ready. You've been traveling for 12 hours. I'm very sorry for this problem. Let me check for you right now." The man's shoulders relaxed slightly. Daniel could tell his calm tone was helping. Finding a solution. Daniel quickly checked the booking system. He saw the problem. The guest's room type was overbooked because of a computer error. Normally, Daniel would have quietly told his manager, but this time he decided to handle it himself. "Sir," he said, "we made a mistake in the booking system, but I can give you a free upgrade to a better room and you can check in immediately." The guest's expression changed, from frustration to relief. The turnaround. The man smiled for the first time. "Really? That's great. Thank you so much." Daniel handed him the key card and added, "Again, I'm sorry for the trouble. Please enjoy your stay. If you need anything, just ask me." As the guest walked toward the elevator, Daniel felt a rush of pride. Not only had he handled the situation, he had done it in English, under pressure, without running away. The third big reason why you must talk in English. That day, Daniel learned. Reason number 3. Real life will not wait for you to prepare. In real situations, whether it's a job, travel, or meeting someone, you don't have time to open a textbook or Google the perfect sentence. You must speak with the English you have right now. The result. Later that afternoon, Daniel's manager called him into the office. "I heard about the guest this morning. He said you were very helpful. I'm proud of you, Daniel." Daniel walked out of the office with the smile that wouldn't leave his face. For the first time in his life, he felt like English was not a wall anymore. It was a door he could open. Part 5. Speaking to inspire. The day Daniel found his voice. 2 weeks had passed since Daniel handled the angry guest at the Harbor View Hotel. His confidence was growing, but he still saw himself as someone learning English, not someone who could teach or inspire others. That belief was about to change. The manager's request. One afternoon, while Daniel was updating the reservation system, his manager walked over. "Daniel, can I ask you a favor?" Daniel looked up. "Of course, sir." "We have a group of 5 new trainees starting tomorrow. They'll be working at the front desk. I want you to give them a short welcome speech, in English. Tell them about our hotel, your job, and maybe share some advice." Daniel froze. A speech? In English? In front of people? The voice of doubt immediately whispered, "You're not ready. You'll make mistakes. They'll think you sound strange." But then, he remembered his mirror promise from weeks ago. "Even if my voice shakes, I will talk." So he took a breath and replied, "Yes, I can do that." The night of preparation. At home that evening, Daniel sat at his small kitchen table with a notebook. He wrote down the main points he wanted to say. 1. Welcome them and make them feel comfortable. 2. Introduce himself, his role, how long he had been at the hotel. 3. Share his journey, starting from zero confidence in English. 4. Encourage them. Mistakes are part of learning. He didn't write a full speech. He knew if he memorized every word, he might panic and forget it. Instead, he wrote short notes and practiced speaking naturally. Before sleeping, he stood in front of the mirror one more time. "I can do this. I will do this." The morning of the speech. The next day, Daniel wore his cleanest uniform and polished his shoes until they shined. As the clock approached 10 a.m., the trainees gathered near the front desk. They looked young, nervous, and a little shy. Daniel could feel his heart beating in his chest. But he remembered what he had learned in Part 3 and Part 4. Fear is normal, but you speak anyway. The speech begins. Daniel smiled and began. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel, and I work here at the front desk. First, welcome to Harbor View Hotel. I'm happy to see you here." He saw a few of the trainees relax and smile back. "When I started here, I was like you, nervous, excited, but also scared, because my English was not good. I could understand a little, but I didn't talk much. I thought if I made mistakes, people would laugh." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But I learned something important. People don't care if your English is perfect. They care if you try. Every time you speak, you get better. Every time you stay silent, you stay the same." The turning point. He shared the story of the angry guest from Part 4, explaining how speaking calmly in English solved the problem and even earned him praise from the manager. So, my advice to you is simple. Don't wait for perfect English. Use the English you have now, make mistakes, learn from them, and speak every day. The trainees nodded, some even writing notes. The fourth big reason why you must talk in English. That day, Daniel discovered. Reason number 4. When you speak, you inspire others. Your courage can give someone else the push they need to start speaking too. You never know. Your words might be the reason someone else keeps going. The reaction. When he finished, the manager clapped lightly. The trainees thanked him and said his words made them feel less afraid. One trainee even said, "If you could start with Little English and improve, maybe we can too." Daniel walked away with a new feeling. Not just confidence, but purpose. He realized English wasn't just helping him. It was helping him help others. Part 6. The dinner that opened a new world. It had been nearly a month since Daniel started working at Harbor View Hotel. His days were filled with greetings, helping guests, and small conversations in English. Each day, his confidence grew. But still, most of his speaking was short and professional. That was about to change. The invitation. One Friday evening, Daniel was finishing his shift when a group of 5 foreign guests approached the front desk. They were laughing, holding a city map, and seemed to be in a good mood. One of them, a woman with short blonde hair, smiled at Daniel and said, "You've been so helpful during our stay. We're going out for dinner at a local restaurant tonight. Would you like to join us?" Daniel was stunned. A real dinner? With people who speak only English? For a moment, fear crept in. What if I don't understand them? What if I can't join the conversation? What if they think I'm boring? But then he remembered every lesson he had learned, especially from the speech he gave to the trainees. Don't wait for perfect English. Use the English you have now. So he smiled and said, "Yes, I'd love to." Walking to the restaurant, they left the hotel together, the city lights glowing around them. Daniel listened as they talked and laughed in English. At first, he was quiet, just trying to keep up with the speed of their words. One guest noticed and asked, "So, Daniel, how long have you been working at the hotel?" Daniel answered simply, "Almost 1 month. Before this, I worked in a coffee shop for 3 years." This opened the door for more questions. They asked about his favorite drinks to make, the busiest days at the hotel, and what he liked about his city. Each question gave Daniel another chance to speak, and each answer made him more comfortable. The dinner table challenge. At the restaurant, they sat at a big wooden table, ordered food, and began chatting about everything from travel to family to funny experiences. Sometimes Daniel didn't know the exact word for something. Instead of panicking, he used descriptions. For example, when he wanted to say lighthouse but didn't know the word, he said, "It's a tall building near the sea with a big light at the top. It helps ships at night." The guests smiled. "Ah, you mean a lighthouse." And just like that, Daniel learned a new word. The moment of laughter. At one point, a guest told a joke about ordering the wrong dish in another country. Daniel laughed and then shared his own story about how in the coffee shop, he once gave a customer tea instead of coffee because he misunderstood their English. Everyone laughed with him, not at him. That moment made Daniel realize something powerful. People don't care about your mistakes. They care about your connection. The 5th big reason why you must talk in English. That night taught Daniel. Reason number 5. Speaking English gives you experiences you would never have otherwise. If he had said no to the invitation, he would have missed a beautiful evening, new friends, new words, and new memories. Language is not just grammar and vocabulary. It's connection, laughter, and life itself. The walk back. After dinner, they walked back to the hotel. The guests thanked him for joining and said, "You're fun to talk to. Your English is improving fast." Daniel went home that night feeling warm inside. It wasn't just about speaking English anymore. It was about living in English. Part 7. The stage, the spotlight, and the 2 final reasons. 3 months had passed since Daniel first promised himself to speak English every day, no matter how scared he was. He had handled an angry guest, inspired trainees, and laughed with new friends at dinner. His confidence was higher than ever, but deep inside, he still carried a quiet fear. Can I speak English when all eyes are on me? That question was about to be answered. The manager's announcement. One Monday morning, Daniel's manager gathered the front desk team. This Friday, we're having our monthly staff meeting. I want someone to give a short presentation about guest service in English. Daniel, I think you should do it. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. This wasn't like talking to one guest or a small group. This would be 30 people in one room. Managers, supervisors, receptionists, even the hotel director. The fear whispered, "You'll make mistakes in front of everyone. They'll think your English isn't good enough." But then another voice, his new voice, spoke louder. "You've faced worse. You've already inspired people. This is your moment." He took a deep breath. "Yes, I'll do it." The days of preparation. Daniel didn't write a perfect speech word for word. Instead, he made a simple plan. 1. Start with a story. People remember stories more than facts. 2. Share real experiences. The angry guest, the dinner with foreign visitors, helping tourists. 3. End with advice. What speaking English has taught him. He practiced in his small living room, speaking to an empty chair as if it were the audience. He practiced pausing, smiling, and looking up instead of reading his notes. And each night, before sleeping, he whispered to himself, "I will not just speak English. I will own my English." The day arrives. Friday morning came. The meeting room was large, with rows of chairs and a small stage at the front. Daniel could see his co-workers chatting, managers checking papers, and the hotel director sipping coffee. When it was his turn, the manager announced, "Now, Daniel will share his thoughts on guest service, in English." Daniel walked to the front. His palms were sweating, but his steps were steady. The presentation. He began. "Good morning, everyone. When I started here 3 months ago, I was afraid to speak English. I thought my grammar was bad, my pronunciation was strange, and people would laugh at me." The room grew quiet. But then I learned something. Guests don't need perfect English. They need to feel welcome. They need to feel understood. And we can give them that, even if we make mistakes. He told the story of the angry guest from his first week, how speaking calmly solved the problem. He shared the dinner invitation from the foreign guests, and how saying yes opened a new world of connection. Every time I spoke, I got better. Every time I stayed silent, I stayed the same. Speaking English is not just about words, it's about opportunities, and it's about connection. The 2 final reasons. Daniel looked around the room and said, "Reason number 6. Talking in English opens career doors. Because I started speaking, I got this job. If I had stayed silent, I would still be in my old life, wondering what if. Opportunities listen to your voice, not your thoughts." He paused, then spoke his final point. Reason number 7. Talking in English changes how the world sees you and how you see yourself. Before, I saw myself as someone small, shy, and scared. Now I see myself as someone who can stand here in front of all of you and share my story. That's the power of speaking. The reaction. When he finished, the room erupted in applause. The hotel director stood up and said, "Daniel, thank you. Your words remind us that confidence is more important than perfection." Several colleagues came up afterward. Telling him his speech gave them the courage to speak more English with guests. The transformation. Walking home that evening, Daniel thought about his journey. From the shy coffee shop worker who avoided English, to the hotel staff member who could speak to anyone, anywhere. He realized something. Speaking English didn't just help me communicate, it gave me a new life. And that is why, no matter who you are, where you live, or how broken you think your English is, you must start talking today. Not tomorrow, not next month. Today. If Daniel's journey inspired you, imagine what yours could be. Hit that subscribe button now. Let's grow your English and your confidence together.